There we go. Welcome back, everybody. It's 37 degrees in San Antonio today, which means that it's too cold to talk about stocks. So instead, I'm going to sit here and sip my coffee and answer your questions. Okay, I mean, it's never really too cold to talk about stocks, but just go with me. Now, believe it or not, it's only been since July when my channel really started to grow. We were at 900 subscribers back then, and we've seen what I would consider astronomical growth since then. So first off, I'm extremely grateful and just humbled that anybody out there actually wants to listen to what I have to say. So for that, definitely thank you. But as the channel has grown, the amount of comments and emails and messages have increased. So in this video, I'm going to answer a few of the ones that I get asked the most, and we'll see where it goes. Y'all ready? Here we go. So first question, what's your actual background and how did you get here? So back in no, we're not going to do that. So here's a relatively quick version. So I graduated from college with a computer science degree, which you might be like, oh, hey, that's a great start. And it is, but I struggled to get a good job after college, partially because I didn't really know how to act professionally or build up my resume. And I was struggling with, what now they would probably consider social anxiety, but back then we didn't really call it that. I just thought, oh, I get really nervous. And I didn't represent myself very well in any of the job interviews that I had. So I started out working a $9.50 an hour data entry job with a computer science degree. But at the end of the day, you do what you have to do. So I worked there for a while. Then eventually I got my first kind of real professional job, and it didn't pay very well, maybe about $28K, which, administrative jobs were probably paying more than that even back then. But at least I was using my degree, and I was at this place. I automated their order system. It was like 18% automated and mostly manual when I got there. I wrote a little program, then it was like 90% automated. I thought, dude, this is a huge win. And they thought it was a win too, but then they laid me off because they had company-wide layoffs, and they're probably thinking, hey, why do I need him anymore? It's 90% automated. So that was a really good lesson in your 9-to-5 income is just never guaranteed, right? I mean, at the end of the day, somebody else is deciding whether or not you're going to get that paycheck or not. And, that was a tough lesson for me. But being unemployed was probably one of the biggest catalysts for the rest of my life that's happened after that. Because that's really when I started questioning myself as to, I really need to get better when it comes to money and investing, because clearly I'm struggling. I'm in my 20s. I have no job. I have no savings. All the hard work and sacrifice that my parents kind of put in to help give me opportunities, and in some cases they didn't have right at my age, I felt like I was wasting those. And that's tough, right? I met a girl during this time. Now, you could say that's really unlucky that I'm probably at my lowest point in my whole life. I have no job. I have nothing really of value to offer anyone at that point in time. And of course, that's when I meet a girl. And the fact that she loved me at that point in time in my life tells you everything that you need to know about the quality of person that she is. And of course, she's my wife now, and we have a family and all those things. But, there we were at the time, young, with a young family, trying to figure it out and make ends meet. And that's really kind of what drove everything else that happened, after that point. And it was mostly just trying to get to financial stability, right? And even though my channel is about investing and stocks and doing all this stuff, the first step for any of us is financial stability. And that is being able to pay your bills every month to where you're not struggling or wondering where that money is going to come from. And then once you get there, then you can start to invest and really build for the future. But without that first step, it's really hard to do anything. So at that point, I just tried to learn as much as I could. I read every book that I could. I read any financial blog that I could find. And I was just trying to get any piece of information that could help me. But look, job one was we needed better income, and that's just all there is to it. So I started doing the things that would help me get a better job now that I had, a girlfriend, a young family, and, all those things really change your perspective. At least they did for me in terms of giving a little bit more purpose and drive to what we were doing. So I got certifications and put them on my resume to help build up my resume. I decided to go back to school to get my MBA, which I wasn't really all that interested in actually getting an MBA. It was just, here's something that I could put on my resume to give me an edge. I just kept doing that. I kept applying everywhere. I got a couple jobs that were a step up from where I was, and I just kind of did that for a few years incrementally. And then finally, after a few years and about 20 applications, I got a call back from one of the best employers in San Antonio, which is USAA. So once I started at USAA, that's when I really started investing for the first time because we had enough money to do so. And it was just in a basic 401k. I was getting a good match and I was just putting it into an S&P 500 index fund. And as boring as that is, that's what I did for years because one, that's what I read, right? That's what people should do. Warren Buffett recommended that most people do that. And I didn't really know any better. So I said, well, let me focus on that and I'll concentrate on working my tail off at work to be able to earn more and boost my income so I can put even more in there. And that's what I did. And it worked amazingly well. And in case you care, I worked in payments technology and infrastructure at USA for pretty much my whole career there in different roles. I started as a programmer. Obviously, I had a computer science degree. And then I moved over kind of to the business side and I managed some of our kind of project and program stuff around payments. But it was all around payments and money movement and this type of thing. So that's why when we talk about stocks like Visa and American Express, I'm pretty familiar with them because it's kind of what I did in my corporate job. So as we started doing better and that nest egg started building, then I had the opportunity to kind of try some additional things as it related to stocks and then even things like Bitcoin. Because again, I was in payments technology, so I was introduced to Bitcoin kind of early on in my career just through work. I don't really talk about it all that much anymore on my channel. I did early on, so if you guys are interested in that or mistakes that I made with it, if you go back to some of my older videos, it's all there. But because at that point we had this kind of financial foundation in index funds, it allowed me to experiment a little more with individual stocks. And just a couple examples, like during the 2020 COVID crash, I bought some that did really well, like Facebook and Google, and then a couple that didn't do so well, like Snap and Square. But overall, it was a net positive, and it really allowed us to kind of build this overall investment portfolio. But it started with that foundation of index funds and then trying to take swings at some other things as we got in a better situation. So by 2021, we were doing really well, and we decided that I would leave my corporate career and try to build something on my own that was outside of anyone else's control. So over the last couple of years, I've tried various things that didn't really stick, and a lot of it was maybe it wasn't the right fit or the fact that I was really spending a lot of my time researching stocks and investments because that's what I'm actually interested in doing. So the start of this channel was really like, well, why don't I just do that and see where it takes me instead of trying to build something else and doing this in my spare time. And one of the reasons why I didn't really do that at first was because, look, I'm not a licensed professional. I'm not a CFA. I'm not a CFP. I'm just a guy who kind of stumbled his way into a decent investment portfolio through trial and error, through just brute force and trying to learn it as I went and making a lot of mistakes along the way. But I think what I realize is that that's how most people do it, or at least most people that I talk to. And I think there's an opportunity for just a different type of channel, a different type of approach to where it's not based on a bunch of hype and noise. It's not based on judging people for stocks they like or don't like. And, no offense to anybody who's a licensed professional. I think there are people who do a great job at that. But at least online, I think there are a lot of people who are quick to tell you what to do and are not quick to show you their actual results. And to me, having a 3-letter, designation behind your name isn't as important as actually looking at what someone's accomplished and being able to see it with your own eyes. So that's why I decided to kind of do it that way on this channel, to where you guys get to see exactly what my portfolio is doing, exactly the decisions that I'm making and why I'm making them. And then we both get to learn kind of together as to how it turns out. So I think that approach is better, and that's why I've kind of done that. And yeah, that's how I got here. That's what this channel is all about. If you guys have any other questions about that, or if I missed something, just let me know in the comments. Okay, that was a doozy. I'm sorry, that was really long. All right, question 2. What do you think about XYZ portfolio? I get asked a version of this question probably almost every day, if not close. And my answer always starts the same way, and that's it's impossible for me to tell you whether a list of ETFs or a list of stocks is a good portfolio for you, because the real questions that have to be answered before you can answer that question is, what are your investment goals? what's your risk tolerance, what's your time horizon, and what's your level of interest or experience when it comes to investing. And there's probably a bunch of other things too, but I think those are the core ones. And that's why normally what I say in those situations is I'm assuming that people are probably towards the beginning of their investing journey when they ask me that. And if they're not, then, I'm sorry for misunderstanding. But most of what I tell people is if you're at the beginning of your investing journey, the best way that I think to start, and it's because of my own experiences, this is how I started, is just find one or two high quality broad market index funds, whether that's S&P 500 index fund like VOO, total stock market index fund like VTI, or if you want international exposure, then there's the world index fund and all these things. And just find one or two of those and start contributing to them and concentrate on building up your portfolio, increasing your income, and consistently increasing your contributions, right? That should be step one. And if you're at that step already, that's great. If you want to venture off into more individual stocks, that's great. But if you get to that first step, even if you did nothing else and you just did that for however long you have to invest, you're probably going to do pretty well, right? Because the main point is to build the habit of consistently investing and doing it in a way to where you're not jumping from one thing to the other, as long as you had a good plan in place to begin with. And, if your plan is, I'm going to invest in the 500 biggest companies in the US that have done extremely well over the past 100 years, there's no guarantee that the future is going to be the same, but the probability is high that you're probably going to do okay. And if people are like, well, I really, really want to start investing in individual stocks, then my recommendation normally would be then take about 10% of your amount you were going to invest, keep 90% in the broad-based index fund. So no matter what you do or how many mistakes you make, it's going to keep building a foundation for you. And then, take that 10% and start dabbling a little bit. Invest in something that you're interested in or maybe that you know very well. Again, it doesn't have to be the most optimized investment you ever make, but the goal is to keep learning because your process will change very quickly. And what you don't want to do is get in a situation where your early mistakes can cause a lot of damage. If you just say, you know what, I don't want to deal with any of this and all this stuff that you're talking about, I have no interest in. All I want to do is put money into the S&P 500 index fund for the next 20 or 30 years and increase my income. You can absolutely do that, and chances are you're going to do extremely well. And then you can spend your time doing whatever you want to do. Like there's nothing that says you need to spend 8 hours a day researching stocks, right? Most people don't want to do that. Most people just want to go live their life and be okay and not have to worry about money. And that, to me, is probably the base goal that we should all strive for. And everything above that is gravy. So, don't feel overwhelmed that you have to have the exact right portfolio at any point in time because it's never going to feel that way. Ultimately, anywhere that I can help, I try to help. But just know that if you ask me what I feel about a portfolio or a certain basket of stocks, just know that what you're going to probably get back is a question and not an answer. And that question is going to be, well, what are you trying to accomplish? And do those things fit what you're trying to accomplish? Anybody that actually is interested in this, I appreciate the fact that you're listening. I feel like I'm just rambling. I think my dog's like asleep back there, like, oh my God, stop the video. All right, so next question. Can you analyze XYZ stock or ETF? So yes, I appreciate when y'all put the request in the comments because I feel like, hey, you like the analysis that we're doing and you just want me to do one on a stock that you're interested in. So I appreciate that. It is taking me a long time though. So one, the list is long and I kind of have to balance it between what I think people will want to watch in terms of a video. So that makes it kind of tough. But I try to get to as many as I can, but please hopefully understand that if I'm not able to get to the one that you asked for, I haven't yet, then I'm sorry about that. Okay, so last question. Are you going to start a Discord or some kind of community? Now, I get this question quite a bit, and at least for the time being, the answer is going to be no, and I'll tell you why. I know that there are a lot of kind of investing Discord communities out there. I've been a part of a couple of them, and I mean, they were pretty good. Like, I understand why they're there, and I understand why people like them. Like, being able to be in a community of people who are like-minded and kind of reinforce kind of the good behaviors is a positive thing, and I think we all, on some level, kind of want that. But I named my site and my company Build, Invest, Live for a reason. And the reason is I think most people, when it comes to investing, are really most worried and interested in the live part of Build, Invest, Live, right? Like, I like finance, I like stocks, and I like looking at it for the majority of my day. But I realize that most people aren't like that. And most people really just want to make sure that their family's okay, that they're taken care of, that they don't have to worry about money, and they want to get on with their life. And they want to live their life on their terms, the way that they want, and spend their time how they want. And I just feel like a Discord would just be another thing that people have to keep up with. Like, you get notifications on it and it kind of takes you away from your regular life. And what I'm trying to do instead is build a channel and a business around helping people learn about investing in stocks in a way that they can go at their own pace. So it's up to them how much they want to engage in it instead of feeling like they have to engage with it every day. Because look, I want you to go play with your kids. I want you to go walk your dog. Like, those experiences are the ones that actually matter, and they're going to mean way more to you in your life. And what I'm about and what this channel is about is helping you be able to have those type of experiences even more because you're not worried about money. So for those reasons, for now, I would say it's a no on a Discord. So I know this was a little bit of a different type of video, more podcast style, me talking, less editing. But let me know if you like this type of video or if you thought, dude, this is the most boring video I ever watched in my life. Either way, feedback's a gift and I appreciate it. Now, I know Christmas is coming up in about 2 weeks. It can be a pretty stressful time depending on all the things that are going on, but I genuinely hope that you get to spend some time with your loved ones over the holidays and as much quality time as possible with your family and friends. Hope you guys have a great day out there, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.